God! Was that the lobotomy?
Nope, just a little spot of ink to show me where to stick this drill.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 times American Dad went too far.
I feel really bad about what I did. I haven't slept in 7 hours, not counting naps.
For this list, we'll be looking at the grossest, meanest, and most shocking moments from the beloved Langley Falls animated series that left us disturbed. Who's your favorite American Dad character outside of the Smiths? Let us know below. Number 20, Becky's Cruel Fate. Hoping to make real and not virtual memories, the Smiths ended up on an actual cruise for the episode The Vacation Goo. But that went wrong when most of the family and Stan's love interest Becky had to hide out in a cave. Unfortunately, the latter ends up fatally crushed by rocks in a cave. Later on, the hungry family is debating how to solve their food problem. The four of them eventually agree to make a meal out of their fallen comrade.
But I'll say another thing. It's Sunday night, and we finally had a family dinner.
To make matters worse, it turned out that the Smiths weren't ever in danger. In the end, both Becky and the audience could have been spared from this needlessly cruel and bleak plotline.
Well, nothing bonds a family like a dark, horrible secret.
So, where do you guys want to go next year?
Number 19, Fishing for Pain.
There she is! I got this. Go hide while I save our lives.
In one episode, Stan builds a dam to serve his selfish needs. By the end of the story, Francine finds out and destroys the structure. Her decisive actions led to a conflict between her and a few lake people.
Dan, it's time for you to finally let me do something I'm good at. Go hide.
At first, the fight scene seems like it'll be another fun parody, but it gets graphic once Francine uses her rod in a brutal way. Since we can't show you what happens, enjoy this imagery of Ms. Smith fishing while we tell you that she graphically targeted a lake person's eyes. Francine even went after his Pan's Labyrinth eyes. While we're all for her defending herself, her unexpectedly brutal actions gave us a scene that was a little bit more than we bargained for. Number 18, B12 Deficiency. With Steve's legendary boy band B12's return in Russian Doll, things get off to a sad start with a mystery assassin taking out the members. While we don't see every death in detail, we learn about the slaughter as time goes on.
Were you just listening to the boy band I was in?
Yeah, they've been playing it a lot recently since some psychopath's been murdering all the band members one by one.
I have been getting a lot more calls that are just heavy breathing lately.
In the end, the final fate of the killer Abraham H. made for the most graphic scene. The villain appeared to try and take out Steve. However, the kid's messy teenage bedroom unintentionally caused Abraham to be launched out of the window. And let's just say the villain didn't land on something soft. While the thought of a musical serial killer was grim enough, the violent end of this plotline was especially gruesome. Number 17, Stan's teen avatar.
This is sick, man. Are you really going to go through with this?
I've already missed so much of Steve's life. This way I get to keep hanging out with him.
Many parents can probably relate to wanting to be closer to their children, and most would try most things to achieve that. But take note, don't do what Stan Smith did unless you want to be potentially scarred for life. The patriarch steals a page from Avatar and projects his mind into the body of a teenage girl. While inside of this body, he makes some mature promises to Steve. It looked like this plotline would go way too far after the kid and the Avatar get close at a dance. Thankfully, Francine intervenes before anything happens. Unfortunately, Stan didn't seem to learn anything from this disturbing plan.
I was there for him. I was there to help him through this terrible moment in his life.
But you caused that terrible moment.
Yep. Everything worked out for everybody in the end.
Number 16, The Whole of American Fung.
Don't turn channel, please. Hello. This is American Dad you are watching. So who am I? Fanghua, Chinese billionaire.
This entry doesn't cover just one moment, but the whole episode due to how far the creators changed things up. American Fung features fictional entrepreneur Fanghua purchasing the rights to the show, and while he claimed he wouldn't change it, he does in a series of bad ways. Hua is introduced as a cartoon to Roger, Haley, and Steve.
Everybody, I have decided to set out on a grand adventure of my own.
That's amazing!
Congratulations again.
Just wow.
He becomes a Mary Sue-esque character that's fawned over by the others, finds solutions to problems, and discovers treasure. The episode switches between live action and animation were jarring, and the ending with the show being sold to a Chinese business with a knockoff Mickey Mouse didn't help. It's no wonder this episode is considered one of American Dad's worst. Number 15, Roger's Cruel Lie.
Well, that's because all the footage was taken before you were adopted.
What are you talking about? I'm not adopted.
No, of course not. That'd be silly. You look just like your dad.
To get back at Steve for getting a cookie that he wanted, Roger convinces the kid that he was adopted. As part of this sick plot, the alien destroys the young Smith's baby photos. Steve becomes so convinced that he's been adopted that he makes a gross choice. Since he no longer believes he's related to Haley, he gets uncomfortably close to her. But even that act isn't enough for Roger. The alien finds a family who lost their son and sends Steve to them. For a moment, the parents thought they found their missing kid, but Roger cruelly crushes their hopes.
Gotcha! Those aren't your parents. That's for taking my cookie.
What?
Remember? You snooze, you lose.
It's important to remember that multiple people were traumatized just because Steve ate a cookie. Number 14, Elbow of Doom. After Roger runs away from Francine as she's being mugged, he decides to become a police officer. Unfortunately, the alien becomes a corrupt cop that works for a man named Migliaccio. Stan eventually collects evidence of Roger's misdeeds.
Before we do anything crazy, let's make sure he has the tape.
Roger, I have the tape.
So I'm gonna give you a call back.
But when Migliaccio finds out about the blackmail, he kidnaps the patriarch. The corrupt lawman then orders Roger to take Stan out. However, the alien defies the order and fights back. Roger ends the fight with an elbow drop that would make Randy Savage jealous, and a little bit sick. While we can't show it here, trust us when we say there's not much of Migliaccio's head left when the alien is done.
You really turned out to be one tough SOB.
Thanks, Stan. So, have you heard anything? Is Chaz gonna be okay?
No.
Number 13, Stan frames Francine. In 4 little words, Stan gets tired of his boss Bullock keeping him late at work. The patriarch thinks he can stop the long hours by introducing his superior to Francine's friend, Melinda. This plan works, until Bullock mistook her for an enemy and killed her. To cover up his mistake, the boss planned to assassinate Francine. Stan decided to get his wife out of danger by framing her for the murder of her own friend.
I'm leaving, Stan. I killed someone and it's tearing my soul apart.
Francine was so guilt-ridden that she went to another country to dedicate her life to charity work. As terrible as Melinda's death was, seeing Stan gaslight his own wife into thinking she was a murderer was worse. We understand why Francine didn't even want to touch her husband after this.
I'm pretty eager to get home myself.
Don't touch me.
Still not there yet?
Not even close.
Number 12, Roger's obsession with Haley. Roger's always been a tad unstable, but the episode Love Ad Style took it to another level. When Haley sang at his bar, Roger became obsessed with her. His fixation only gets worse as the episode goes on.
I think I love Haley.
Dude, seriously? With Francine Cans McGee strutting around this place?
Every time I see her, I turn into a complete idiot. These feelings are too intense.
After Roger corners Haley in a hospital, he knocks her out and takes her to an isolated location. If all that wasn't bad enough, things got worse when her husband Jeff arrived to save Haley. The alien tries to look more human by subjecting the spouse to some horrible skin surgery. Roger's nonchalant attitude about the laundry list of crimes he commits to get closer to Haley was pretty disturbing.
Great, you hate it. Well, that's all right, I'm over you anyway. Steve was right, it was just a crush. Hey Jeff, good news, you're getting your skin back.
Number 11, Kisses the Dog. Due to a past trauma involving having to finish his childhood dog, Stan was adamant that Steve couldn't have a faithful hound. However, after meeting Kisses the Dog, he changed his tune. But the pup gets into a horrific accident involving pirate cats and a hot air balloon. Yeah, we know that's a weird sentence.
Well, the good news is that Kisses survived the balloon accident.
He's still alive!
Well, yes, but he's only breathing with the help of a machine.
In any case, instead of letting Kisses go, Stan took him to a veterinary equivalent of Frankenstein. The Mad Doctor steampunked a monstrous kisses back together, but thanks to a dream involving his previous dog, Stan saw he'd crossed a line and finished off the Frankenpup. His extreme method was fitting for such an over-the-top episode.
Stan!
I blew up kisses with dynamite.
What? Why?
Because of Freddy.
Number 10. A water slide too far. Considering watching this moment causes everyone to cross their legs and wince, it deserves to be here. In the episode Award Show, Stan and Francine are vacationing at a water park, but they get bored after doing everything within a couple of hours. Eventually, they decide to spice things up in an over-ambitious way.
This place is totally screwing us.
Yeah, well, they're not the only ones who can do the screwing.
I beg your pardon?
Francine decides to wait at the bottom of the slide as Stan throws himself after her. Unfortunately, they collide below the waist and everything goes red. A hospital scene showed they survived the brutal impact, but the image of their horrific injury remains stuck in our heads.
This is the worst day of my life.
Number 9. Forbidden Love.
My date's supposed to be holding a rose.
My date's supposed to be in a Packers helmet.
Roger is an alien. Klaus is a German man stuck in the body of a fish. It may have taken over a decade, but didn't everyone expect these two to hook up? Okay, maybe this is the weirdest coupling we've ever seen on screen.
Although Roger has hooked up with everything and everyone under the sun, he gets desperate for love and resorts to online dating. An honest mistake leads him to Klaus, and the ensuing intimate scenes, well, we wish that we had brought a barf bucket with us.
You'd never think that a cartoon could make you gag like that.
Number 8. Stan Goes Blind.
Oh, Francine, thank you for meeting me. Look, I know I've been acting like an ass, but I'm committed to this.
We all know Stan is a strong and brave patriarch. However, he's also deeply sexist, shallow, and carries around some very old world views. When it becomes clear that he loves Francine for her looks, and expects her to consistently take care of herself for him, she finally decides to relax and let herself go.
And I didn't want to lose you, but I can't get past your looks. So I did the only sensible thing a man in my position would do. I had my retinas removed. I'm completely blind.
The ensuing results are pretty horrific. But since Stan can't take a clue and show his wife he loves her for who she is, he does the only logical thing he can think of. He removes his retinas to save the marriage.
A toast to us.
Number 7. Chiseled.
Don't worry, baby girl. You'll be able to show your face again.
While the abuse Haley goes through is nothing compared to Meg Griffin, there have been some questionable parental moments. Case in point, when Haley gets wrongfully accused of destroying a mural and is hunted down by the entire town, her loving father saves the day, Stan style. He knocks her out and performs reconstruction surgery on her face. The surgery itself is stomach-churning, as well as hilarious, but the disaster doesn't end there. Haley comes out looking like Frankenstein's monster from a surgery she never asked for. A bad case of father doesn't know best.
You made me a monster!
Number 6. Kidnapping Boyfriends.
Stan!
Francine, I can explain.
Over the years, we've seen multiple ugly sides to Stan Smith and wondered how he turned out to be this way. The infamous episode, Oedipal Panties, decides to answer some of these questions, as it deep dives into Stan's relationship with his mother.
But then she started dating again, and I knew these men would just break her heart like my father did. So I did what any rational, loving son would do. When they took her out, I took them out.
Disturbing to say the least, we learn that Stan has made it a habit of kidnapping his mother's boyfriends and making them disappear. Wanting mommy all to himself, this is an unhealthy relationship for the ages. The cherry on top, that nightmarish bath time song that Francine, nor the audience, will ever forget.
Wash, wash, wash your tushy, scrub, scrub, scrub your tushy, rinse, rinse, rinse your tushy, we just did your tushy.
Number 5. Surrogate Parents.
Hey, it's our favorite gay neighbors.
Ultra-conservative Stan Smith does not hide his strong beliefs and Christian values. It was only a matter of time before his homophobic side came out to play, what with loving couple Terry and Greg living down the street. Stan has been pretty civil to them, in his own way, until they decide to have a baby.
I've always said you can't raise normal children in an abnormal environment. Do you know what that'll do to society?
Along with the incredibly offensive stereotypical one-liners, Stan really crosses the line when he takes their newborn son just so the infant wouldn't be raised by two fathers.
Do we really want to forgive Stan at the end of this one?
50 miles to the freedom of an orphanage, where we'll get you some real parents.
Number 4. His Civic Duty. Poor Steve, so innocent and naive. This episode was the definition of nervous laughter as we watched a sex offender named Randy move into the neighborhood.
Hi, sorry to disturb you. My name's Randy. I just moved in with my mom down the street.
I'm throwing empties at your head!
I was recently released from prison.
He makes his past clear to his neighbors after he arrives. However, Stan is completely oblivious when Steve and his friends are swept away right under his nose. They end up spending an uncomfortably large amount of time hanging with Randy.
Randy used to work at the water park before the Troubles. You might want to check there.
The extraordinarily dark circumstances surrounding this plot led to a number of skin-crawling scenes that were hard to laugh at. In the end, the show's attempt to joke around with Randy led to the creation of one of its darkest plot lines. Number 3. Stan's CIA double. The episode Pulling Double Booty is all levels of messed up and confusing.
Stay the hell out of my love life!
First, Francine is horrified to find Stan and Haley in a very questionable position. Thankfully, it turns out that her daughter is actually making out with a body double named Bill.
You all know Bill, right?
Hi, Stan. Francine.
Wait, so that was Bill upstairs?
But the lines are crossed all over again when this fake Stan pretends to be the real one around Francine. However, the gross plot doesn't end there. Eventually, Stan pretends to be the body double and continues to stay as close to Haley as Bill was. It's almost impressive that this patriarch and his body double managed to cross the line so many times with just one horrendously misguided scheme.
Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
I love you, honey. I said it, see?
Number 2, Camp Refugee.
Steve, you're not gonna miss out on camp after all. We're staying in Africa.
No group is left behind by Stan's insensitivity and cluelessness.
Wanting his son to have a great summer camp experience, Stan accidentally sends Steve to a refugee camp in Africa. It's truly hard to believe that Stan, a CIA operative, can be this obtuse. Like when he goes to rescue Steve, and ends up trying to turn the refugee camp into a real summer camp.
Welcome to Camp Refugee.
Making fun of refugees is bad enough, but calling a violent attack by local rebels a panty raid really makes the humor hard to fathom.
Camp Bawongo? Oh, it's a panty raid! I was not expecting that!
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Giving Release.
See, I told you this thing was fast.
Since Roger is one of the most outrageous characters on the show, we've grown to expect him to shock us at least once an episode. But this scene went far even for him.
Playing pranks and manipulating people is what Roger does best, and convincing Stan that their new horse needs regular, manual stimulation takes the cake.
Well, you have to brush the horse's coat and mane, water and feed it, and then give it a full release.
A what?
That brief garden hose moment where we were all tricked into thinking the show had definitely gone way too far resulted in over 100,000 complaints and a $25,000 fine from the FCC.
I can't believe you did it! Oh, too good, too good.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.